Well, hello everybody, this is Make It Better, and today we're doing What If Deku Had Nightmares, Part 32. This is for last week video. This week video will have to come up sooner or later. So sorry for the long wait. And yeah, that's basically it. So, I believe we got off where Zuko and his class is going over to the pro license exam. They get off the bus and, well, Zuko and Araka is holding hands, which is sadly a bad thing. The guy that looks exactly like Zuko went over and smiled, greet everybody with a very cheerful tone. A smile, which Zuko was off-put for a moment, but sadly had to shake his hand to be polite. Raka, of course, didn't want to since she was holding Zuko's hand and didn't want to hold anybody else's. Now, because the only reason she's like this right now is because the whole time in school, to the point of the pro license exam, Zuko was training non-stop until he was basically asleep on the floor, and only one person was able to take him to his room and for him to go to sleep, which is Aizawa. And why, you ask? Well, he was focused mostly on Black Whip. But in order to get it, he had to upgrade perfect his use of One for All. So he had to be way better at that, train harder, get to a higher percentage just to have Black Wick more usable and easier flowing. Now, after all of that little explanation, damn, I'm losing a lot of words today. Let's continue, shall we? The class was about to walk into the whole exam. Oh man. But they were stopped by another class, and this very classroom of students were from another school, and the head teacher is Miss Joke. Miss Joke was laughing and tried to joke with Aizawa as much as she can to give him a laugh, but nothing's working, and their back and forth goes on and on. Now, the students of Class 1A and the others will have to awkwardly talk to each other, and one made a comment that they hope that we don't get a fight against you guys. And everybody in the other school said nothing, made it very obvious, but did not say anything, and just basically walked away from them, as well as Miss Joke. Miss Joke see her students leaving and saying goodbye to Aizawa and everybody else on good luck, especially for the first test. And she walks away. Well, kind of running. Most of them thinks that's kind of weird. And Zuko, he feels like he's missing something, a very important information. And Aizawa said, yeah, so don't forget about your the moves. They'll be very useful for this point, as he walks away. And Zuko is still thinking something is missing, but he can't get it just yet. Wait, is it Oraka? Yeah, this one's Oraka, the other one is... Well then, I just keep forgetting who his ship was right now. Hold on. Yeah, it took me a whole hot second that I mixed up my ships in a different way, but turns out I was doing it right. That's good. Didn't want that to be another messed up mistake. Alright. Sorry, it's just been a while. Yeah. Also, this, if you show on, look at my screen right now, this is what time it is on the PM, as well as my phone battery. Yep. This, whatever. Sorry, I'm getting a roadblock again. Now, when everybody was getting closer and closer, and the whole class 1A is looking around at other students, and they all see the look of them being stared at to their core. Everything they might know about them is laid down in the open. And more of the students are starting to wonder, and even Araka kind of holding on to Izuku even tighter and ask him what's wrong, since he's looking very serious. And Izuku asked Araka, do the other schools have a sports festival too? And Araka says, no, only UA has one. And Izuku said, oh shit. This will be 18 plus, who cares? And he stopped right in front of the gate, right when he was about to enter, as well as everybody else. And Zuko, he stopped, and he was up front of the whole group, and they were telling him why he'll stop and many other stuff. Zuko turned around and asked them, does any of the other schools have a sports festival? And most of them are thinking about it, and they say no. The others say only UA does, which are leaving a little questionable look. And Zuko said, yes, only UA does. Only shows UA's students and their quirks. I may be wrong. And then he got cut off by Todoroki and Momo. He said, I think... No. It makes way too much sense to be true. And Zuko said, I believe so. Which, with this much information coming out, the rest of them are asking and basically, well, worrying on what's going on. And Zuko says something which scares them, but Bakugo is very excited about. And well, Zuko of course says, I think they know about our quirks. But Bakugo comes back with, but they don't know about our progress, as he makes the explosion in his hand. Which, at first, get everybody nervous, but when Bakugo says something, they got a little bit more excited, since they have no idea how much they improve. And Zuko, of course, agrees with Bakugo at this point. They turn around with a much determined looks and, well, excitement in their eyes on what's going to happen during this test. Few minutes goes by, everybody's being surrounded. And the floor finally goes down, the walls goes down. And the, well, announcer basically say it's a free-for-all, the rules and how to win, all that other stuff. And when he finally says go, or bell went off, everybody in UA, Class 1A, surrounds and have themselves in the middle, as well as Zuko somewhere in the outside. And they look all around them, seeing everybody, all of the other class, the schools, and their students rise up with all of their quirks ready and the balls to throw. And they say the destruction of 1A UA is a tradition out here, and this is the very guy that they shook hands with, as they throw all the balls, all is much quirk force into it just to attack the UA. And at this point, everybody scattered and used their quirks. Dark Shadow knocking some off, and everybody else goes on and on. Zuko, of course, do a few air kicks towards a few of the balls and having them fly back to the owners. Then a second wave came by, and the others were about to run and, well, hide and do other stuff. By this point, Zuko whipped out his whips and grabbed all of the balls at the same time and threw them at the owners, hitting a few. Most of them getting hit by one or two at a time. And Zuko was almost about to get a whole point by himself, which everybody else started to get scared and ran off and scattered. Zuko, of course, not holding back, wants to keep going. And he also, basically, as he runs off, Uraraka's right behind him and helping him out as much as she could. And when Zuko was about to be done, they almost got attacked by another. Moving on to everybody else's, they're all doing the same thing as in canon. Now, Uraraka and Zuko are together the whole time until someone comes from the background, Kami. She distracts Uraraka at first, and when she was kind of basically pushed back as far away as she could, she went over to Zuko, did a few fights. Zuko dodged perfectly on all of them until she started to use her quirk, and she started to melt, kind of waxy like. And when Zuko noticed this, basically pulled out his whips and wrap around her, basically throwing her over to another area. And then he went over and see how Uraraka's doing, and sees that Uraraka's fighting against someone else. And he's watching this and see her getting her final point, making her pass. Zuko, of course, not wanting to be behind, looks around and finds a few. And he finally gets a few for him to pass. After Zuko and Uraraka gets to the waiting room, they see that everybody else has done and passed as well, with perfect timing too. This and that goes off, and Zuko as well as Uraraka are talking about this one fight with this girl in all black. And when Zuko says all black and skin tight, two people hear that and rush over to him, asking for more questions, which is Mineta and Denki. Zuko, of course, point out the person, and she kind of smiles and waves, which, of course, makes the scene of the two kind of jealous to a point, and kind of asking Zuko to introduce them, which Zuko can't because, he doesn't even know the girl's name, nor the girl herself. Now to the next scene. The floor crumbles, destroyed, whatever you want to say. And the instructor said, now in villain attacks, there's also civilians. So go and rescue the civilians with these pro actors. And, they do. He went over to some areas using Black Whip to hold up the structure itself and asking for other people around him to get the civilians out. After they're done, he put it down and it collapsed. He kept doing this, making sure that everything was basically structurally sound and not gonna fall into the people. And when he finally got one, he got a few points off because, he was holding them. He was kind of shaking himself, and he wasn't really caring for the person, just rushing over to the medical bay. he got some points deducted from that. But he overheard a few ruckish, and some fighting, and he decided to go over there. Now, this is the very scene of Todoroki and the wind guy basically not helping each other out, but making things worse. As Todoroki throw his flames, the wind guy throw his winds at the same time and deflecting them both. But making Gang Orca thinks that, well, giving them enough points to lose. But when one of their attacks about to hit the guy, the earthquake guy, Izuku finally came by flying, of course, with a super jump, grabbing him with his black whip and throwing him away, far away where he won't be touched by the flames nor the winds. Zuko, of course, looking back after everybody was clear and checking for any civilians to be, well, in safe hands. After all of this was done, he yells out to the both of them, what are they doing? Save the civilians, not, well, kill them. Which, of course, shocked them to realize how stupid they've been acting. They both look at each other and, well, nod on agreement to have this all figured out later. They finally did a tornado as well as a wall of flames together, making Gang Orca to, of course, get very, very dehydrated. And Zuko throw his black whip into the tornado and surrounding Black Gang Orca into his whips. And he's starting to pull him closer into the flames. And to the point where Gang Orca said that's enough, he gives up. Everything stopped, and Zuko's just still holding on to Gang Orca, which Gang Orca asked him why is he still in these ropes, or whips, whatever these are. And Zuko said, well, you can never be too sure. As he overheard that everybody has succeeded and everything is 100% clear, which the situation is over, and the announcer said the test has ended. Then, that point, Zuko lets go, which Gang Orca approves of this, his acts and everything else. So he gets a little more points after that. Moving on to the next scene. Everybody's very happy and taking pictures, sending it to their families. And Zuko as well as Uraraka, as well as everybody in Class 1A, but 2 people. No, just 1 person. Pass. And, well, they took a group picture with the person that did not pass to hold up the camera and take a picture of everybody. Moving on. Zuko, no, next scene of Itami, yes, Itami, receiving a text saying that Zuko has passed, and he sent a picture of his whole classroom passing the Pro Hero exam, which he gets some text back and forth and saying they should celebrate, but Zuko saying no, since their whole classroom is celebrating, and then they're gonna probably do it into some plans later. Which Itami is kind of bummed out, but just happy to have seen his son becoming a pro hero, one step closer. Moving back to the dorms. Everybody decided to throw a party for everybody passing except 1 person, but still include them, which this 1 person is Todoroki. Surprising, I know. Because of the wind guy. That's the only reason. Now, everybody chips in money, food, place, and party decorations. in the very 2 hours of time they had. After that, they put it together, and Bakugo was one of the few, and Zuko of the cooks to make actual food that actually tastes good. None of the store bots. Yep. After all of this, they play some party games and watch some movies, and they're all enjoying themselves perfectly. Few days pass. They're in the classroom. Aizawa was telling them all about what they did in the first time of their internships. Now these are now the pro hero internships of a next level, usually meant for second years or third years. And well, he explained some more. Hear a knock, and just tell them to come in. And they were introduced by the big three of UA: Sun Eater, Million, and Nejire. I really forgot the shy guy's real name. Sorry about that. I think it's Tamaki. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm right. I'm not sure. Either way, I do not know her hero name. Either way, sorry about that. Where was I? Basically, Mario is talking about all the great things and more into the job other than just being a helper. And some of the students are happy and excited that they might have a chance of doing this, but also Nejire is talking to everybody about their quirks, but also not getting any answers since she's going to the next person way too quick. Until she finally lands onto the one person she's very interested in, which is Izuku. And she's just asking about this nightmare thing, and sounds so dark and mysterious, just like Tamaki. Hoping that's the right name. And Zuko, of course, not caring, kind of shows the liquid just dripping off of his fingers, and Nejire was about to touch it, but Zuko slapped that hand out of the way and just grabbed onto his liquid and absorbing it back into him, which Nejire kind of felt bad. It didn't hurt, but it just felt bad that she wasn't allowed to touch it. Which Zuko said, yeah, I didn't want you to feel the pain. This is only for the villains. And Nejire said, and she kind of pouts because she wanted to, touch it, how it feels. And Zuko said, oh, alright. He makes Black Whip and kind of just dangling it from about a foot away. And since it's protected with One for All, she's not gonna be touched unless he wants her to be. Nejire is now playing with it and feels like a squishy rope, which she kind of like pull Zuko with it, and well, Mirio and Tamaki is touching it and just feeling it. Which now Mirio is more curious about this very instant, but he heard a cough from Aizawa saying, which Mirio said, oh right, since how about we just fight each other to see how far ahead and what you could learn in the future. Can we tell? And he says, let's go to like one of the gyms. Next scene, everybody's in the gym. In the same gym that they were training their ultimate move. Mirio basically said that he'll be fighting against everybody, so go all out. And Zuko, well, wants to get out of this because he feels like this will be way too much. Which Mirio said, come on, I'm not gonna go that hard on you, I think. Which some of them saying, you think? But most of them are getting really cocky since they went against quotation marks, pro heroes. Only a few that's actually a villains, sorry. Pro villains. I feel like I'm brain dead right now. Anyway. Oh. Aizawa basically says in 3, 2, 1, go. And Mirio gets attacked by the long range first, as well as a black whip across his face. After it will phase through, Mirio strips. Not on purpose, it's just how his quirk works, and falls through the ground, coming right back up and attacking each and every one of the students, all the way till a few of the last ones, the close range. And when he finally hits everybody, and they all kind of holding their stomach in pain because, well, that really hurt, as they fall over and kind of passed out. Zuko, Kirishima, and Todoroki are still in. Todoroki keeps throwing a bunch of ice and as well as flames, but none of it is hitting him. Which Zuko's now kind of realizing Mirio's fighting pattern just a bit, and he kind of predicted where Mirio sink to and going after next, and he was correct. And then another to Kirishima, and then the last person to Todoroki. After that, Zuko was somewhat getting it down and pulled out his whips. And he kind of said, "Oh, time out." He looks over to Aizawa and asks if he's okay to use his original power. Which Aizawa thinks about it, looks at his strengths, and said yes. This be very interesting. Which Izuku, of course, said, okay, on timeout. And Mirio was curious about that, but he'll decide to ask that later. So he went down into the floor, come back up, right behind Zuko. Zuko, of course, knew where he was coming, but did not look. Mirio kind of smirked and threw a huge power smash to Zuko's back. And Zuko dodged out of the way, very inches, centimeters away from the punch. Not getting hit at all, but Zuko, using that whole motion, whipped around with one for all 20% kick over to Mirio, which faced right through him. And right when Zuko leg goes right past him, Mirio throws another punch, and this one was going straight to his face. Zuko, not closing his eyes, well, kind of decided to do a headbutt, and Mirio didn't want to hit him at all at the very beginning, on the face anyway. So he faced right through it, and Zuko was curious on why he didn't hit him in the face, since that was a clear way to win. Zuko's taking this moment and kind of start talking to Mirio about his quirk, on what he thinks it could be and other stuff. Mirio, of course, being very cocky, but knowing a few things, just say the bare minimum of saying that how his quirk works. And Zuko is starting to understand about it, and also thinks about how each quirk have a weakness. So what is his weakness? And Mirio kind of lets it slip out that he can't breathe correctly when he goes under, which Zuko gets an idea. So, well, Mirio goes back and forth. Zuko's basically missing all of them, and Mirio finally get one clean hit on Zuko. But Zuko's covered in his own armor, and that very armor protects him from the punch, which Zuko, of course, slides back, but still is protected. It still hurt. No, don't get him wrong, but still, he's still up and fighting. Mirio is kind of happy about this, saying that it'd be fun to have a real fight today. He basically says that he's finished with his warm-up and decides to go very serious. Fushizuku gets a little bit scared, just a little bit, but Mirio starts going all out with a huge smile on his face. Zuko, of course, sees him going down again, and Zuko this time thinks where he's gonna come out from, but when he was about to throw his whips over there, Mirio didn't appear. And when he counts 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Mirio appears somewhere else, but much higher, Zuko's starting to understand his quirk even better, to a point where Mirio looks down, and Zuko just looks like he was getting ready to throw a punch. And when Mirio just wants to see what will happen on a fist-to-fist collision, decide to do the same thing, doing a superhero pose straight down with his fist out in the straight. And when they finally collide, Zuko's whole arm turned into a black substance with some lightning green around it. Straighten, I can't say it, basically enforcing it and making it stronger. When it hits, when they both collide, Zuko's did not falter, but, well, Mirio felt the pain from that punch and decided to phase through that too. And when he was about to get to his face, Zuko throws another whip, but not to his face, but to his legs. And to his surprise, they clapped on. And Zuko this time used Nightmare for all the pain that he felt from that fight onto Mirio. And Mirio feels it. Feels all the pain. Exactly on the same spots too. And when Mirio finally gets to the ground, after kind of panting because, well, he hit a huge quiet punch, Zuko finally has a chance to throw another kick at his back until Aizawa tells him that's enough, and Zuko stops at that point. He looks over to Aizawa, which Aizawa is giving him a somewhat of a grin to see that at least one person is able to fight correctly. Zuko kind of stretched back, said, "Come, dang it, I was so close, I was so close." He reached out to Mirio, and Mirio grabs it and get back up. After that whole moment, the bell rings and saying that's the end of the school day. And, well, Zuko and his rest of his classmates, after they finally woken up, still have that pain on their stomach, was deciding to go to the recovery girl and then the dorms. Zuko helped out with Uraka, and Uraka can't move at all. She feels way too much pain. And Zuko, of course, picked her up without him asking, but she is blushing. Greatly so. Why? Well, because every girl's dream is to be picked up as a princess down the hall. And she just can't help but to smile, as well to grab onto Zuko a little tighter. Zuko, of course, going to recover girl and just having everybody else being treated the same way. Basically, getting an ice pack and putting it on their stomachs as they get back to the dorms. Zuko, of course, just asked recover girl in a pleading way, basically thanking her for being so nice to everybody here, to his classmates, and hope he'll be just as great as her in the coming years. Which recover girl hates that Zuko is playing on her, well, what she basically likes, being well, treated as a person and a very nice person. Can't find the fucking words. Why can't I? Anyway, she finally decided to give Oraka the healing kiss. After this, Zuko was about to let her down. By this point, the big three basically left and was talking about everything else. And Oraka kind of grabbed tighter on Zuko and asked him not to put her down. Which Oraka girl said, huh, young love, as she closed the door. Zuko, of course, did not want to stop because, well, her smile and her whole, aroma, airing, feels peaceful. And he does not want to make it worse or better. So he decided to listen to her and took her all the way to the dorms, to her room. And when he finally put her down, he kind of feels cold, but decided to ignore that. Yeah, I'm doing it. Oraka grabs onto his hand and asks him to stay a little bit longer. Which Zuko, of course, wants to say no and, well, wants to at least finish his homework. She grabbed onto him tighter and pulled him into her bed. Zuko, kind of awkward at this point, not knowing how to proceed by this moment. So he's just waiting for whatever Oraka will do next. And Oraka basically... oh, that hurts. Well, just hold him tighter, having her head further down onto his chest, and just basically going right to sleep. Which Zuko, of course, can't really get out of this situation, and was not planning to do it so anyway, hugged her back, and, well, went to sleep as well. Now, a few days has passed, almost a whole week, until Zuko was given an invite and was basically told to go to Mr. Principal Nezu's office. He went over after saying goodbye to everybody, as well as Oraka, and he went over to the room. He heard someone saying coming in, so he went in. And he sees Mr. All Might, Nezu, and Muriel. Muriel explaining why he's here and basically getting an invitation by Nai to work in his agency. And Zuko, of course, wants to see Nai and how he is compared to All Might. Now, All Might seems very closed office ish, fish-ish, dish-ish. Wow, I can't believe. Anyway, Zuko, of course, agrees, and on the very end of the week, he went over to Night Eye's agency. Muriel greets him, and of course, everybody else kind of... Never mind. Anyway. Dang, this is getting harder for me to do. I don't know why. I have the whole story right in me. Alright. Sorry. How else can I make this better? Yeah, I got it this way. Hopefully it works. Oh, sorry. I thought I paused it. Anyway. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now, when Zuko finally gets through the door of Night Eye's office, he sees him tickling Bubble Girl. In his version of tickling, I guess. He was warned to make a joke, but decided not to since he doesn't really make jokes, unless it's dark humor, which no one will ever like that. Other than me, but that's just me. Anyway, Zuko sees this whole interaction with him, Night Eye, and Muriel. Muriel basically taking Bubble Girl off of the torture device and went leaving. Basically, Night Eye is asking about his quirk and what he thinks a true hero is like, and everything else, and as well as his goals. Zuko, of course, answers in the best way that he can, which Night is not impressed at all, and decide to make a test on saying that if he can get this chess piece or stamp of approval off of his hand and into that paper, then you're allowed to work under me. Which Zuko kind of questioned on why, because he thought he was already accepted to this, which I thought not I basically said that you were invited, you were never accepted. There's a difference. Keep up. And which Zuko, of course, gets a little tired of all of this. Ask what's the rules, and he say no rules. Do whatever you want in this room, nowhere else, and basically get this piece off of my hand. Which Zuko said, all right. When do we start? And now I say we start now. You have a full 30 minutes to get this off me. Which Zuko agrees to this. He throws. He already did the. Now I finally use his quirk on Zuko, and Zuko is throwing a few punches, kicks, wind blades over to Nai, and he's dodging all of them. Zuko start getting a little more serious and throw some wits, and they're all being dodged. And Zuko thinks about Nai's quirk and how he probably have used it, and thinks he is using it now. So he had to make up a plan. So he starts to go around like Gran Torino and scattering all the papers all around. But as he does this, he throws his black whip onto these paper, and all of them scattering and going everywhere. And most of them is going straight at to Nai. Nai, seeing no effects by any of this, basically throws the papers away, basically grabbing on them and throwing them out. And when Nai finally throws the last paper and sees Zuko have his whips already out and stretched, he looks around and looking through his vision that Zuko stops, and he stops now. Zuko, of course, said, I think I win. And Nai said, no, you didn't. You still haven't gotten this piece off of my hand. And Zuko said, I don't need that. And no, you do. You need to get this off my hand in the next 10 minutes or you won't be working under me. And Zuko said, I know. But as he walks a bit closer to Nai, Zuko basically said, did you read what my quirk is? And Nai said, no. It's something. You have a quirk before you had All Might, and you just basically use that. Which Zuko said, yeah. You should have read closer to my original quirk. If you did, you would have known how dangerous my quirk really can be. And he feels something on his cheek. and he was about to wipe it away. And Zuko said, it'd be a shame if that sink in. Which I basically said, I'm not scared of your quirk. I see it in my future. I don't see it getting affected by this at all. Until Zuko said, alright. And Zuko basically take away the all for one for all power away and have the original nightmare liquid. And it seeps through into Night Eye's mind. And what did he see? He saw 3 years. No, I'm not doing that. That would be way too much, even for him. He has seen all the villains. No, that won't work because that'd be too much. Oh well. He gets 3 years of Zuko's life in random times into that one droplet. I kind of, after the shock and kind of shaking because he still feels the pain, looks over to Zuko. And Zuko, of course, by this point, just has the very piece in his hands. And Zuko basically said, yeah, I mastered my quirk long ago. I just need to master one for all now, as he stands on the paper. And All Might says that you're the best person for me on this quirk. No worries, the effects wear off in about an hour. Which I basically sits there and kind of holding himself together, thinking it will fall apart, being pulled apart from his 3 years of torture in that 1 second. After the hour had finally passed, and Muriel finally coming in and asking if everything was gone well, he sees an unusual Night on the corner, kind of shaking back and forth in the ache. Kind of. And Muriel looks over to Zuko, which is Zuko's just sitting on the chair and just reading on some papers. Muriel basically asks Sir Night what happened, and Zuko answered it for him, saying, I used my quirk on him and he was not prepared for. It's not my fault. No, I don't think so, at least. Which Muriel gets offended for Night until Night finally tells Muriel to stop. He's okay now. And my lack of judgment being very hard for him to say. Very hard. Even Muriel knows this is hard for him to say. Saying my lack of judgment and not believing this kid will be any danger to me caused me to go through this very trial. And Zuko, of course, hands him back the piece. And Sir Night said, alright then. I guess since you already stamped on the paper that you're gonna be working under me. And Zuko said, oh, I didn't do that. I thought, fucking come on. Night finally looks down to the paper and sees that he just stamped right next to it, not to the proper box. And Zuko said, I think that would be best suited for you. You know, since it's all on your opinion, not mine. I can always tell All Might that you think I was too good for all of this. Now playing on his weak points. Which now I, of course, take the challenge, stamp on the paper, and saying, Muriel, can you please take him out and show him around? Which Muriel does. A few hours pass by, and Zuko is walking down the sidewalk. he's talking to Mirio about their names, and Zuko asks Mirio about his name, and it's the Midi. And he's explaining that he wants to save 1 million civilians. Which Zuko said, okay, I see what you mean, but what would happen if you stop with, you finish 1 million? Which Mirio said, then I'll keep saving. With a bright smile. Which Zuko said, yeah, I get that, but I mean, you know, everybody would be focused about the number more than your name. Then Mirio said, yeah, but I already like the name so much, and it's very catchy with some ringtones too. As well as Zuko said, okay. As he looks further up ahead and seeing that, asking where else are they going, until he gets bumped into by a little girl. Izuku looks down, kneels down, and asks to pick up the girl that knocked into him. She is shaking and kind of in fear by this point, with a bunch of bandage, band-aid, fucking come on, all over her arms, and Zuko asking her if she's okay. He's being very polite and soft tone to her, which Eri kind of hold on to him and kind of shaking. Zuko grabbed onto her and picked her up, and he looks over to Mirio and ask him if what he should do by now. They're discussing on either taking her to the cops or following a missing child to find her family. And when she heard family, she starts to shiver and hold tightly on Zuko until she heard a voice, and everybody else looks over to see a man in a beak mask, a plague mask on his face, which he shows up. This whole other stuff goes on. Zuko, of course, believing way more to the girl than what this guy is saying, and he asked Eri on her name, and she said Eri. And Zuko asked her another question, and when she hears this, doesn't say anything, and what he said is, do you need help? And she kind of holds tighter and nods her head yes, and Zuko said okay. He looks over to Mirio, and Mirio is very against all of this. He does not want. He's trying to put Eri back to this guy, and Zuko's trying to force him to listen, but he's not listening, to a point where Zuko has to actually listen to Mirio since he's a senior, which Zuko had to apply to. Zuko, of course, walking over to, I forgot his name, whatever, plague mask. Dang it, I actually forgot his name. Oh well, I'll remember it sooner or later. And as he's walking over to him, he's talking into Eri's ear, very quiet, but only for her to hear. And it's kind of comfort, but Zuko also get a glass bottle, a very small vial, and hand it to Eri, which no one sees. Only Eri can feel in her hand. Zuko tells her if she does not believe him, that he knows how much she's going through, just take this vial. It'd be very painful, very traumatic, but I promise you, I will get you back. If he was giving her back to Sharaki? No. Tamaki? No. Tumbing. Anyway, to the guy. And Zuko is just seeing her go by. And he wants to throw out his whip so much. And when he finally does, it's just far away enough where he can't reach. And he just kind of have his very whip open up in a hand and saying bye. Waving bye. He looks over to Mirio and punches the wall on saying, "Why didn't you help me taking her in? Didn't you see her shaking and, well, many other stuff? And the bandage all over her arms, we can just tell from that she's going through something. Why didn't you do anything?" And Mirio said, "It's all for Not Eye's plan. It's Not Eye has a perfect plan that could have worked for everything and basically on the books." And Zuko said, "For a guy that wants to save 1 million, you can't even save one," as he walks away. Very frustrated by this point. He goes over to Night Eye and asks any details about this person, as he gives the details, learning about his name, and Zuko basically said that we just ran into him, as well as getting his supposed daughter. And this girl was shaken up in fear how I would feel, and I know with my experience and your experience, remember that she is going through something just as bad as mine. Sorry, I need a break. I need a break. He's going into the locker room, which some heroes are in there. He just basically ignores them all and sits down, kind of holding his hands in his head and just thinking about that situation as well as his own. And he's, well, dripping some black nightmare. Mirio finally comes by, looking over to Sir Nai and explaining exactly what happened, which greatly appreciate Mirio, but ask Mirio to find Zuko and ask for more details about him and why he thinks this way. He explained what he said to him, which Mirio is starting to get but doesn't understand. He looks around, seeing a few heroes complaining about this new kid, and Mirio asks him where he is, which is over in the locker room. He goes over to the locker room and sees Zuko kind of mumbling to himself, high enough or low enough, depending on how close you are, about what she looks like, how she behaved, and how he would have behaved if no one helped him, over and over again. And his arms are actually showing the black liquid falling off of him, almost making a puddle of sweat, quotation marks, but nightmare. And Mirio, well, decided to touch this liquid, thinking it was sweat, and kind of like was testing it, rubbing it against his fingers. And when he finally did that, he kind of blacked out for a moment. Zuko, after his whole moment of arguing with himself and all the stupid stuff that everybody else don't understand, he looks around and sees that he's made a puddle. He absorbs them all back up again to make sure it's a safer area. He looks over to one area and sees Mirio basically touching the one spot that did have the nightmare, and Zuko realizes what has happened. So he's basically sitting there and waiting for Mirio to wake up. And Mirio finally woken up after that whole shock, and then shock again, seeing how Eri felt, how she was shaking. He feels everything. How Zuko actually felt at that moment, and then him remembering, well, Mirio sees Zuko's memories on how he would have felt if he was in that situation, about his past experience. on certain situations, on certain ways, on how he is gonna would have act just like Eri, which Muriel is starting to understand, hates to feel it, and starting to regret not doing anything for this girl. Zuko asks him if he can walk, and Muriel kind of like stutters for a bit, losing his whole smile, and asks Zuko what did he see. Zuko said, well, you saw my experience. I don't know exactly what you saw, but I think you saw the time I got starved to death. I think you saw me also be in the river or lake for a few months. And then he says, I think you also seen me eat rats for a moment. And Mary said, I did not see that, but what the fuck did you go through? How are you still normal? And Zook said, I don't know. I think I'm just like brave. He said, alright. By that reaction, I think you're going to be okay after and if you get a day off. Yeah, sorry about that, but I have a bad feeling about this. And Zuko leaves. Muriel, of course, takes the day off because by Zuko's, well, what he experienced and asked Sir Nai if he could, he had to explain why. And when Sir Nai learns that Muriel have gone through the same thing, but much worse, asked for more details. And Muriel said, no, he's completely stuttering and not gonna answer that until the next day, which Sir Nai sadly understands and let him go. A few days goes by, everything else happens with Kirishima and Tamaki and Fat Gum, as well as the Dragon Hero and their drug heist or fighting against Suyu and her drug heist with all the villains on the boat. They getting really close. Zuko finally gets back after, because his is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday kind of schedule. Now, when he finally gets back, he sees Sir Nai, as well as Muriel, and one other person. Let's say, no, two other people. Bubble Girl and the one that's a centipede. They're all sitting in a table, and Zuko comes in, saying hello and good morning to everybody as he takes a seat. And Sir Nai ask him about his actual quirk, what it can actually do. Zuko explained about his quirk, vague details, and Sir Nai said, can you please stop the crap and just tell me everything I need to know? Zuko kind of looks at him and asks him, what exactly you want me to say? And, well, both Muriel and Nai glare at him intently. Zuko said, what, you want me to say that my power is basically a two-sided blade? It's everything I experience, whoever I choose to give will experience the exact same pain as I did? Or do you want me also tell you about my backstory on how tragic and how sad and sappy my life has been? The room is silent by this point. Bubble Girl doesn't know what she got herself into. The other guy, the centipede guy doesn't know what he's listening, Muriel really hoped on what Na'ai is planning to be very helpful in the future. And Sir Na'ai said, yes, I need you to tell me everything, with these four as well. And Zuko said, can I get a phone call first? Sir Na'ai said, yes, but it has to be in front of us. And Zuko said, sure, fine. He pulled out his phone, he called his dad, and asked him if it's alright if he lets go of some private details about himself to these four. He told me, say, hold on, let me get a background check to make sure they're safe. Zuko, of course, said, alright, thanks. A few minutes pass. He gets a notification saying that they all pass. Zuko said, alright. I have two ways of doing this. Either I tell you or you experience. And that's basically a faster way of. And certainly I asked more about these two ways. What do you mean by two ways of telling? There's only one way. And Zuko said, well, the first way I tell you about it from the very beginning that I can remember to now, and my emotional state at that point, which would take me about 2 or 3 hours or a day, not sure how it will be put, and then all your questioning afterwards. Or the other one, where it's way faster, and you see everything. Which, now I said, let's take the second one. And Zuko said, alright, well, this might be a stupid question, but do you have shot glasses anywhere? And well, Muriel said, he does. He doesn't look like it, but he's a drinker. And Zuko said, all right, can you pull out like 4? Give me 5. I'll take a shot too. Which Bubble Girl and the other guy thinks that this kid's way too young and was about to protest. And Zuko said, actually, it's not for the drinks. It's for my quirk. He's pulled it out. It's all 5 of it right in front of him. Zuko asks everybody to give him a minute. And he pours a drop of tear on each of the glasses. And then 2 more on Not Ice. 2 more on Muriel's. And that'll be enough. Put them right in front of the people and said, well, you have 2 ways. Either drink it or put it on your skin. It will be the same effect. And the 2 really didn't want to drink it, so they put it on their skin. And right when the black liquid or touch on the skin, it dissipates and disappears. Which now they're passed out. It's more effective now since Zuko wants them to pass out for the 30 minutes. Yes, it's going to be 30 minutes. Instead of seconds or minutes. He's gotten really good with his quirk. He looks over to the other 2. And Muriel decides to drink it. He was basically prepared to drink something way worse. And Sir Naya said, well, here we go. And he drinks it too. They go through the cycle of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, all the way to he was rescued. And then the Bubble Girl and the other guy comes back from that point. But for Muriel and Na'ai, they keep going after the rescue, after getting taken care of by his father, and then also getting over to UA, finding a love of his life, as well of almost losing her, and then going against Musker. Basically the whole what if for the whole what if story at this point. Especially all the physical pain as well. Sernai is starting to feel pain in his throat as well as on his eyes. For Mario, he's starting to feel pain all over his back from that very first experience of boiling hot water on the baby's back. That really got him first. And well, Zuko kind of just watched them all on how they react. Bubble Girl is stunned silence, as well as the other guy. He's shaking kind of very badly most of the time. Mario can't take it, starting to cry and cry. Bowling and it's a river coming out of his eyes. And Zuko, of course, gave him some tissues as Mario saying thank you and saying sorry at the same time. Thank you, sorry, thank you, sorry, thank you, sorry. And Zuko looks over to Third Eye, thinking what he's going to say. And he's kind of playing, since it's his power, he's seen it so many times, he's used to it, to see that I kind of stay silent the whole time. He stands back up out of his chair, walks all the way around to Zuko, not only bow, get on his knees, and a complete apology, heads down over to Zuko for everybody to see, which kind of stunned them, but starting to understand how much he really apologized. Which Zuko just appreciates this moment of seeing it. Nobody ever does it, but he kind of feels weird. And Zuko said, "Can you please stop? I do not want any of this. You asked for it, you get it. Can you just get back to your seat, please?" And Sir Nai said, "Yes, very sorry." He gets back to his seat and just thinks about it, and then thinks about it, and then thinks about it more. On whatever this kid gone through is nothing. Well, it's whatever this pro hero of himself, what All Might has gone through, and this whole thing that he's all high and mighty because he has claimed that he has gone through something truly tragic. And then this kid comes in with his backstory that his one day of life compared to All Might is nothing. A whole year of Zuko's life is way worse than anything that Sir and I have gone through. Even the villains are not that bad. So, after that whole day, Zuko was given a day off, as well as all the other three, and Sir Nai just basically locked himself in the office. The very next day, they go, and well, everybody... well, some rumors go around about Sir Nai and his attitude about everybody, and seemingly even nicer than ever, which is starting to creep everybody out, but in a good way. Because, well, he's finally holding back his forcing everybody to smile, forcing everybody to laugh, even though that's very painful now. Sorry, it was just a little bit messed up. Until the day comes where everybody, a whole hero meeting with Fat Gum, Dragon Girl, All Might, everybody, Sir Nai, and Aizawa, about Eri and the Akuza, the head boss. Hold on. Now, they're talking about the Yakuzas, especially of the head boss. And they're learning the truth about the bullet the quirk erasing bullet and how bad it could really be. And as they learn, the very blood of the quirk erasing bullet is from a child. And they're assuming by this very child, which Mario feels even great pain after learning the whole history of Zuko and now learning that what Zuko has said probably would have been right and could have been way protective very sooner. Zuko saying, "I told you so" to Sir Nai, which everybody in the whole room is in shock and surprised that Zuko has said such a thing, which Sir Nai is just taking it all in and saying, "I'm sorry." Now, Rocklock thinks this kid is very arrogant and somehow thinks that he's such overpowering whatever and all of this other stuff. And Zuko basically just looked at him and said, "Dude, you have no idea what I've gone through. You want to try it?" Which, Sir Nai say, "Please don't. We do not have the time for this. You can do it to him afterwards." And Zuko said, "Alright, that's fine." And Uraka kind of like hold on to his hand and ask what's going on. Zuko said, "I'll explain later." Which she kind of appreciates and just holds on to his hand by this point. Is that a squirrel? It's a squirrel. Nope, it's a cat. It's a cat. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, sorry. Either way, they were planning everything together, and it's going to come in the next week. After everybody finally leaves and was, leaving to their stations, Uraka pulled him aside and went to a cafe and asked about what happened. In a private setting, somewhat. And Zuko explained that Sir Nai and other three, as well as Sir Nai, Mario, and the other two, asked for my backstory as well as my life story. And Uraka, kind of understanding what this means, Zuko said yes. Against my will, I had to tell them about my life. So sadly, you're not the only one that knows everything about me. And Uraka kind of feels betrayed, but she kind of put it down and thinks very carefully that Sir Nai is a pro hero. He could have helped out even more if he knows more about Zuko. But Zuko also said, "But I didn't show them everything. I did not show. How do I put this? For you, you saw everything with no filters, so no worries, you saw everything. But for them, they saw my point of view, but they did not see the faces of the people, nor the people that somewhat saved me afterwards. You know, like my the last 9 years, the 1 year at the end, if that makes sense. But don't worry, you're the only one that sees everything without a filter," which Uraka feels calming, but yet kind of feels bad because she was using this opportunity to get closer to Zuko. Zuko, of course, asked Uraka, since they're here, should we just make this a date? Which Uraka said yes. And Zuko said, "Yeah, it's been a while since we've done such a thing." So they went on a date. After trying to erase all the bad news they heard, get back to dorms and wait until the day of the raid. They get over, they're all in position, Zuko's up front with Sir Nai and Mario. very serious understanding of Zuko and knowing about all of this. Moving to another scene of Eri, when she was back in her room on that very first day of trying to get out but sadly taken back in. She feels very afraid and thinking she might have killed those people as well. And she held on the very small glass bottle. By a bottle, I mean like a vial. That's basically 2 inches long. That's it. And it holds a droplet of tear. And Zuko just did it out of random at no point, right in front of everybody, of 2 years of his life. Nothing else. Just for people to understand. And there was just more of an understanding, not for any sympathy or guilt or anything, just for understanding. And Eri, feeling very bad until she remembers what Zuko said, pulled out the vial and drank it. And she went through 3 years of a very filtered but yelling pain. The only thing that's filtered is the sun and day time, so she can't tell how long it's been. Which, when she finally comes out of it, she feels calmer. Way too calm for someone that has taken 3 years of life. And she just thinks to herself, he's like me. He's like me. And that calmed her down so much to a point where she falls asleep peacefully for the first time ever. And that, my friends, is where I'm gonna end it. So thank you for listening. Have a very nice day. But before I keep this turn it off, I'm planning on doing something new. I'm not sure when I'm gonna start, but basically I'm going to put a playlist on saying what ifs in the future or something like that, which is only be one part every time. And I need you guys to actually like them. Of course, watch it and like it. And these are the ones that I'm planning to do and just getting it prepared already. I have 3 lined up for them and many more. But I just need likes. Which one's more popular? I think you guys will understand when you see it, but yeah, I can't really explain anymore. But anyway, thank you for listening. And also thank you for the 401 subscribers. It'd be so hard if this was like high thousands, but I'm starting in a good point now. Anyway, I think that's basically it. Yeah, that'll be it. Also, I'm going to make a TikTok account for this as well. Not sure how that worked, but I'll figure it out. Alright then, bye.